we go to the third statement. And this is about food companies must communicate more about upcycling. The majority of the respondents, it's 88%, which is quite a lot, believe that companies should put more effort into communicating about upcycling. Now, I think it's a perfect statement for you, Guus. No?
Could be, yes.
Yeah. Because with you also brought your communication expert, or how should we call him?
I've brought a colleague of mine, Kevin,
Yeah?
and he has run several projects where communication is involved, communication with the consumer. One on influencers. What's the impact of influencers on the food sector? As well on sustainability and packaging and how consumers look at that. But when it comes to communication, we've seen with food companies, and before I said the association of food waste with food or waste with food is for a lot of consumers, it's frightening them a bit. And then we see that a lot of food companies are really doing a very good job to become more resource efficient, to use their raw materials in an optimal way, to give value to their sites, streams, the byproducts, but very often they don't communicate about this.
Do I understand that well, that you also talk with consumers via influencers, so you do the both, so and companies and their consumers? Wait, there is a microphone coming over, Kevin.
Yeah, in the research we saw what is really the impact of influencers. When you see an influencer talking, when we talk maybe also about meat or something like gluten. Gluten is not healthy. Yeah. The bread consumption decrease. Yeah. And it's mostly not an expert who talks, it's more an influencer who thinks and believes in that way. And food companies and also health organizations has really problems with communicating it with a lot of trust and a lot of impact. Yeah. That's really hard for them. And that's one of the reasons we do such projects, and also communication is more important for food companies. And that's a good thing, because food companies do a lot of good things, but it's really hard to communicate with a lot of trust.
Yeah. And the fact that you're working with influencers, Kevin, is because you want to approach the youngest generations.
Yeah, but also, how do they communicate? What is the difference between communication by a food company and an influencer? Why do they believe the influencer more? And mostly it's like...
I think we have a question for Tom right now. Why do they believe influencers more than food companies?
It's an easy question. They believe people, they don't believe brands. So if you communicate as a chef or you communicate as a food lover, they're gonna believe you. But be careful, because in Belgium, average people follow influencers, but they understand that they receive money from companies, and so they understand this, and that's why they not always follow them in what they advise. But there is an impact, and if you want to have a really great impact on them in a positive way, don't look at the big influencers. Search for the small influencers. You're all influencers. You all have people surrounding you, and you all can tell a story.
So after today, you all go on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn.
Whatever.
You just show whatever you want.
Even write
a YouTube
paper.
channel.
Doesn't matter.
You take your daughter with you, and you say, "She cost me a lot of money. It will be a hit."
Well, she's not so young anymore now. She's 19.
Okay, I'm sorry. You still look so young, Peter.
But she's more like what Ruben says. She is, and what Tom says. She's more into like TikTok, all those Instagram and you name it, and they're on it.
But it's again a strong channel, whether it's always true or not true, the message. Yep. But I also see it at home. They tell me what to buy because they've seen it on TikTok, basically.
30% of youngsters believe more TikTok than their own doctor. It's sometimes scary.
Yeah.
There's still 70% that do have.
And you're still 70%. So
The
you think
glass
about
is half full, eh?
Yes, again, 30, 70.
Yeah, we have something with that balance. Okay, so coming back to that statement, you wanted to add something, Guus?
Yes, when you say...
Thanks to Kevin, by the way.
What we've seen in other projects on side stream valorization is that companies are going to choose cleverly how to communicate about their products. Which kind of type of consumer am I targeting?
Yeah.
Am I targeting this very conscious consumer which has a big awareness on sustainability, on circular economy? Then they might focus their marketing on, yes, we are saving food, we are reducing food waste, while other consumers, and it's a big group of consumers, don't have this awareness, and they don't really care. They care more about the cost of their food products, and they don't really care about this sustainability. Then a food company is just going to keep silent on where their raw material is coming from, and just trying to find the best way to provide a product to the wishes and the needs of that consumer. We've seen, and it's thanks to Kevin again in another project, that out of a survey we did last year, more than 70% of all the consumers think and believe that retailers and supermarkets should do more about sustainability. Even 88% of them, they believe, 88% of them, they believed that retailers and supermarkets should do more things to avoid food loss. How to deal with that? How do they know that a supermarket or a food producer is doing valuable efforts, is reducing food waste, is having a more sustainable product? The ways they communicate with their consumer, we've learned that from all consumers, the two most important means to communicate with them on your food product is via labels and the ingredients list on your food packaging.
Okay.
Contradictory, the same consumer as well indicated that they don't have a big belief in what's written on the food packages. So at the one hand, they're asking for clear labeling, for clear information. At the other hand, they say there's too much information, companies can say us whatever they want, and we don't believe it. So this is a balance.
They believe people
a balance
more than brands.
relationship you should develop, or we should develop with the consumers.
Okay. You talked about a label, and then Ruva, I have a question for you, because I've seen in the US market there is something like an upcycling label that we haven't seen yet in Europe. Yes. Is that a valuable label because there are already so many labels in the market?
Yeah, I think it's capturing something new on the market. Of course, there have been some labels before, but I think particularly addressing the issue of upcycling, it's quite unique in that sense. So it's just for your information, it's developed by an association called the Upcycled Food Association, and what they've done is create a platform where producers using ingredients from side streams can adopt this as a certification, as a label. The reaction has been positive in the US. What we see is that retailers, actually a lot of the retailers that position themselves as premium, so think of Whole Foods, Kroger's in the US, they're adopting it, requiring their customers to have this certificate and allocating shelf space where products that are upcycled can be put on display. So I think this is an indication of the openness of, well, I guess the pressure that retailers are getting to do something, and using the upcycled food certification as a way to show that they're making efforts and engaging their customers as well. And when I look at markets just adopting upcycled foods or then the US is for sure up there.
And is there any plan that it will come to Europe, that label?
There is a plan that it will be expanded. So right now it's present in US and Canada. They will be moving to Europe, starting with the UK first, and then rolling out to the to Europe. But in terms of timing, this is still being determined.
And that's purely for food business, also for other ones, or
That's
is
a
it
very
too
good
difficult?
question. I am not sure if it's only, but food for sure. But I don't know if it is limited to food.
Okay,
Yes.
interesting.